Story. Millionaire husband texted, "Don't wait up. I'm working late." Pregnant wife replied, "Tell her I said hi." 5 calm words can do what 100 accusations cannot. Make a liar realize the truth has already entered the room. Stay with Olivia, because the reply she sends to her millionaire husband will uncover more than a secret dinner and force her to decide whether an 11-year marriage can survive the difference between love and control. If stories about dignity, family, and hard-earned truth speak to you, subscribe to Millionaire Stories and stay with Olivia to the end. Disclaimer: this fictional story is created for entertainment. All characters, companies, private settings, financial arrangements, and events are invented. Any resemblance to real people or organizations is coincidental. At 37, 7 months pregnant, and finally preparing the nursery she had dreamed about for years, Olivia Bennett thought she knew the shape of her marriage. It looked like a cedar house in a quiet Chicago suburb. It sounded like Nathan Caldwell calling from the office to ask whether the baby had kicked. It felt like his hand on the small of her back when they walked into crowded rooms. Nathan was 44, founder of Caldwell Home Systems, a private technology company that had made him a millionaire before most of his friends had paid off their first mortgages. He was disciplined, persuasive, and famous in his industry for making decisions quickly. Olivia used to admire that about him. Lately, she had begun to fear it. The changes were small. Late meetings. A phone carried from room to room. Weekend calls that ended when she entered. Nathan still kissed her goodbye. He still ordered the prenatal vitamins she liked. He still talked about repainting the nursery after the baby arrived. Nothing was dramatic enough to accuse. That Thursday evening, Olivia set 2 bowls of pasta on the dining table and waited. At 8:18 p.m., her phone lit up. "Don't wait up. I'm working late." She read the sentence twice. Then the family tablet on the counter chimed. Nathan had once connected it to his calendar so Olivia could see travel dates and medical appointments. A restaurant reservation appeared for less than a second before the screen refreshed. Cedar Room, 8:30. Nathan Caldwell / Madison Reeves. Olivia stopped breathing. Madison Reeves. She knew the name. Nathan had dated Madison before he met Olivia. He had described the relationship as intense, ambitious, and finished. Ancient history, he once called it. Olivia looked at the cold pasta, then at the nursery doorway. Her phone still showed his message. "Don't wait up. I'm working late." She did not ask where he was. She did not send a photograph of the calendar. She did not call the restaurant. She typed 5 words. "Tell her I said hi." Then she pressed send. Nathan called within 20 seconds. "Olivia." His voice was too careful. "Yes." "What does that mean?" She rested one hand on her stomach. The baby moved beneath her palm. "I think you know." A silence followed. Not the silence of confusion. The silence of a man choosing his next sentence. "I'm meeting Madison about an investment," he said. "At Cedar Room?" "Yes." "Then you could have told me that." "It's complicated." Olivia looked at the 2 place settings. "No, Nathan. The truth is usually less complicated than the story built around it. I'll explain when I get home." She ended the call before he could turn the evening into a negotiation. For the first time in 11 years of marriage, Olivia did not wait for Nathan to decide when she was allowed to understand her own life. She put the pasta in the refrigerator, turned off the dining room light, and went upstairs. Nathan came home shortly after midnight. Olivia was awake, reading in bed. He stood in the doorway with his jacket over one arm. "You're still up." "I wasn't waiting." The distinction landed. Nathan sat on the edge of the chair near the window. "Madison's company is raising money. I've been looking at the deal for a few months." "A few months?" "Yes. And you thought the best way to tell your pregnant wife was not to tell her at all. I knew you would hear her name and think exactly what you're thinking now." Olivia closed the book. "What am I thinking?" He hesitated. That was answer enough. Nathan ran a hand over his face. "Nothing physical is happening." "I didn't ask that." "Olivia, I asked why you lied about where you were." "I said I was working late." "It was a business dinner. At a restaurant with a woman you used to love." "It was still business." Olivia looked at him for a long moment. Then business should have survived an honest sentence. Nathan's expression tightened. "I didn't want to upset you this close to the baby coming." There it was. The explanation he always used when he made a choice for both of them. "I didn't want to worry you. I handled it. I thought it was easier." Olivia had once heard those phrases as love. Now they sounded like locked doors. I'm tired, she said. We can talk tomorrow. Nathan wanted more. She could see it. He wanted to explain until she accepted his version. But Olivia turned off the lamp. The next morning, she did something that surprised even herself. She went to her prenatal appointment. She did not cancel. She did not spend the day following Nathan. She did not call Madison. She did not search his phone. Her doctor asked whether she was sleeping well. Not really. Stress. Yes. The doctor reminded her to rest, hydrate, and call if she had concerning symptoms. Olivia listened. The baby's heartbeat filled the room, steady, fast, alive. For 90 seconds, Nathan's secrets disappeared. There was only her daughter. On the drive home, Olivia decided what she would and would not do. She would not become a detective. She would not break into accounts. She would not post accusations. But she would stop accepting vague answers about money that belonged to both of them. Olivia had worked as a residential designer before stepping back during a difficult pregnancy. She was not a financial expert, but she had always managed household records. Their tax returns, insurance documents, joint investment statements, and property files were organized in a shared digital folder and a locked cabinet to which both spouses had keys. That afternoon, she reviewed only what was already hers to review. At first, nothing looked alarming. Then she saw 3 transfers from their joint investment account. $45,000, $60,000, $75,000. Each went to an entity called Larkspur Bridge, LLC. The memo line read, Private Credit Allocation. Olivia searched the state business registry. Larkspur Bridge had been formed 9 months earlier. Its manager was an attorney. Its mailing address belonged to the same office used by Madison Reeves Design Group. Olivia felt cold. She printed the statements and put them in a folder. When Nathan came home, she placed the folder on the kitchen table. What is Larkspur Bridge? His face changed. Only slightly. But she saw it. It's an investment vehicle. For what? A bridge loan. To Madison? To her company. Olivia sat down. $180,000 from our joint account. It's secured. That isn't the question. The return is excellent. That isn't the question either. Nathan exhaled sharply. I have authority on that account. Authority to move money is not the same thing as telling your wife what you're doing with it. You approved private credit as part of our allocation. I approved a category. I did not approve lending our family money to your former girlfriend while you were having secret dinners with her. His jaw hardened at the words former girlfriend. You're making it sound dirty. I'm describing what happened. No, you're connecting 2 things because you're hurt. Olivia stood. I am hurt. That doesn't make the bank statements imaginary. Nathan followed her into the living room. Madison's firm had a temporary cash problem. She had receivables coming in. I knew the risk. I structured the loan. Why didn't you tell me? Because I knew this would happen. Olivia turned. This happened because you hid it. Nathan looked away first. The hardest part was that Nathan had not always been this man. Olivia remembered the years before Caldwell Home Systems became valuable. Their first apartment had a radiator that clanged all winter and a kitchen drawer that fell out if you pulled it too quickly. Nathan worked from a folding desk beside the window. Olivia took design jobs wherever she could find them and came home with paint samples in her purse. They had not been poor, but they had counted things. Gas, groceries, health insurance, the cost of replacing a broken transmission. Nathan used to ask before spending $200. Somewhere between that apartment and the Cedar house, asking had become informing. Then informing had become explaining afterward. Olivia had noticed the change without naming it. When Nathan bought a sports car 3 years earlier, he said, I knew you wouldn't mind. When he agreed to invest in a friend's restaurant, he said, it was time sensitive. When he hired a new household service without asking, he said, I handled it so you wouldn't have to. None of those decisions had endangered them. That was why she had let the pattern grow. Money had softened the consequences. The baby changed that. At 37, after 2 earlier miscarriages that almost no one outside the family knew about, Olivia did not think of pregnancy as a decorative chapter in a wealthy marriage. She thought of it as a responsibility she had waited years to hold. Nathan had cried with her after both losses. He had been gentle then. He had sat on the bathroom floor with her at 2 in the morning, saying nothing because nothing useful could be said. That memory made the present harder. People wanted betrayal stories to be simple. A villain, a victim, a clean line between before and after. Olivia's marriage was not simple. She could remember Nathan at his best while refusing to excuse him at his worst. 2 days after she found the Larkspur transfers, Claire came over with soup. She did not ask for gossip. She went straight to the nursery and helped Olivia sort a box of baby clothes. "Do you want to leave him?" Claire asked eventually. Olivia folded a yellow sleeper. "I don't know. Do you want him to suffer?" Olivia thought about it. For about 5 minutes at a time. Claire smiled. "That's normal." Then I remember the baby, and the employees at his company, and his parents, and the fact that I loved him yesterday, even though I'm furious today. You don't have to turn him into a monster to decide something is unacceptable. Olivia looked up. That sentence stayed with her. Claire had divorced at 46 after 22 years of marriage. There had been no affair in her case. No dramatic betrayal. Her husband simply refused to treat her plans as equal to his. "You know what I learned?" Claire said. "A relationship can end because one person gets tired of being managed. You don't need a headline." Olivia placed another tiny shirt in the drawer. "I keep thinking about what people will say." "Which people?" "His investors. Our friends. My mother. Everyone who thinks we have this beautiful life." Claire shrugged. "Most people are busy thinking about their own lives." Olivia laughed despite herself. The next Sunday, Nathan's parents came for lunch. Robert and Helen Caldwell were both in their 70s. They lived 2 hours away and had been looking forward to their first granddaughter with almost comic intensity. Helen brought a knitted blanket. Robert brought a wooden toy train meant for a child who would not be able to use it for years. Nathan behaved normally. That was almost worse than anger. He carved chicken, refilled glasses, asked Olivia whether she needed another pillow behind her back. Helen smiled at them across the table. "You two are going to be wonderful parents." Olivia felt the room tilt. Nathan's eyes met hers. For a second, she wondered whether he would tell them. He did not. After lunch, Robert followed Nathan into the garage to look at something mechanical. Helen stayed with Olivia. "You're pale," she said. "I'm tired." Helen studied her with the unnerving patience of a woman who had raised 3 children. Pregnancy tired or life tired? Olivia looked down at the blanket in her lap. Maybe both. Helen did not push. She only reached across the couch. "Whatever is happening, you don't have to perform happiness for me." Olivia's eyes filled. She had not realized how badly she needed someone to say that. She did not tell Helen the details. Not yet. But the permission mattered. That evening, after his parents left, Nathan found Olivia in the kitchen. "You almost told my mother." "No. Your mother almost noticed." He flinched. "Can we please keep this between us until we understand what it is?" Olivia stared at him. "You understand what it is?" "I mean until we know what we're doing." "No, Nathan. You mean until you know whether you can fix the appearance of it." "That's unfair." "Then tell them." He looked toward the hallway. "Not while my father's heart condition is acting up." There was always a reason. A meeting. A pregnancy. A parent. A deadline. Olivia suddenly understood that there would never be a convenient day for truth. "Then don't tell them today," she said. "But stop asking me to protect you from the consequences of what you did." Nathan leaned against the counter. "I'm trying to keep our family together. Keeping people uninformed is not the same thing as keeping them together." He had no response. The following week, Olivia attended a small baby shower organized by Claire and 2 old friends. Nathan offered to cancel it. Olivia refused. "I'm still having a baby." The shower was held in Claire's sunroom. There were no branded decorations, no photographers, no business friends. Just women who had known Olivia before Nathan had money. One was widowed. One had remarried after divorce. One had cared for a husband through cancer. Their lives had long since taught them that perfect photographs were poor evidence. Olivia watched them laugh over advice cards. These women had lived through widowhood, divorce, illness, caregiving, second marriages, and long stretches when life refused to fit a simple label. At 25, Olivia might have believed one betrayal defined an entire human being. At 37, sitting among women who had survived complicated chapters of their own, she understood that a life could contain love and disappointment, loyalty and failure, without requiring her to deny any of it. During dessert, Claire handed out cards asking guests to write one thing they hoped Grace would learn. Helen, who had quietly come despite Nathan's request that family matters remain private, wrote for several minutes. Later, Olivia read her card. "May she grow up knowing that kindness does not require silence." Olivia pressed the card to her chest. She did not know whether Helen suspected the truth, but she kept that sentence. It would eventually sit framed above Grace's bookshelf. Nathan arrived at the end of the shower to carry gifts to the car. He was charming, helpful. Everyone thanked him. On the drive home, Olivia stared out the window. "Did you have a good time?" he asked. "Yes. I'm glad." A mile passed. Then Olivia said, "Your mother wrote that she hopes Grace learns kindness doesn't require silence." Nathan gripped the steering wheel. "Does she know? I didn't tell her." "Then why would she write that?" "Maybe because she's 72 and has lived long enough to know the difference." Nathan drove the rest of the way without speaking. That night, he slept in the guest room for the first time. It was his idea. Olivia appreciated that he asked first. That night, Olivia called someone she trusted, her older sister, Claire. Claire was 52, divorced, practical, and allergic to drama. Olivia told her the facts. Not what she feared, not what she imagined. The message, the dinner, the transfers. Claire listened without interrupting. Then she said, "You need a lawyer before you need an answer about the marriage." Olivia almost laughed. "That sounds cold." "No. It sounds like pregnancy is not the time to discover that your financial assumptions were wrong." Claire gave her the name of Marjorie Lane, a family law attorney who had represented one of her colleagues. Marjorie was 61 and had the calm manner of someone who had heard every version of "trust me" that money could buy. At their first meeting, she did not tell Olivia to divorce Nathan. She did not tell her she owned half his company. She did not promise to freeze every account. She asked for documents. "Your legal rights depend on facts, account ownership, agreements, and the law that applies," Marjorie said. "We do not make big claims before we have those." Olivia felt herself relax for the first time in days. Marjorie reviewed the joint account statements and recommended a financial consultant. She also told Olivia to preserve records she lawfully possessed and leave Nathan's private devices and corporate systems alone. "You do not need to invade his privacy to protect your own interests," she said. The consultant traced the Larkspur loan through available records. The loan itself was real. Madison's company had real clients and real receivables. There was no evidence of theft. But the joint account correspondence contained something Olivia had missed. Larkspur's investment summary said the bridge financing included warrants that could give the investment vehicle a small equity stake in Madison's company if certain conditions were met. Olivia stared at the page. "So our money could become ownership in her business?" "Potentially," Marjorie said. "That depends on the final financing documents and whether those rights are ever exercised. We verify before we characterize it." That caution mattered. Olivia was learning to separate what felt terrible from what could be proved. The next piece came from Nathan himself. 2 days later, he asked to talk. They sat in the nursery because neither of them had the energy to pretend the kitchen was neutral ground. Nathan looked at the crib. "I should have told you about the loan." "Yes." "I should have told you about the dinner." "Yes." He rubbed his hands together. "Madison and I have been talking for months." Olivia's throat tightened. "How?" "Work. Mostly." "Mostly." He looked at her. There were personal conversations. She waited. Nathan had negotiated acquisitions worth tens of millions of dollars. Now he struggled with a sentence. She was going through a divorce. She said she felt like she had built a life that didn't fit her anymore. "I understood more than I should have." Olivia did not move. "Did you tell her that?" "Yes." "What else?" Nathan's eyes dropped. "I told her sometimes I wondered who I would have been if we had stayed together." The room went silent. Olivia felt the pain arrive slowly, almost politely. Not a scream, not a collapse. Just the knowledge that while she had been choosing crib sheets, her husband had been imagining another version of his life with another woman. "Did you kiss her?" Nathan looked up. "Once." That was enough before he answered. "Once." Olivia closed her eyes. "When?" 3 weeks ago. "Before the loan?" "After." "Before the dinner?" "Yes." She opened her eyes. "And when you texted me that you were working late?" Nathan's face crumpled in a way she had never seen. "I was going to tell her we had to stop the personal side of it." Olivia almost smiled at the absurdity. "You lied to me so you could go tell another woman you were going to stop lying to me. I know how that sounds." "It sounds accurate." Nathan leaned forward. "I love you." Olivia's hand went instinctively to her stomach. "I believe you think you do." "That's not fair." "No. Fair would have been letting me live in the same reality you were living in." He stood. "I made a mistake." "A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. This was a series of decisions. I didn't sleep with her. You keep offering me the line you did not cross as if it erases the ones you did. Nathan sat again. For once, he had no answer. Olivia told Marjorie everything. The lawyer listened, then asked a question Olivia had been avoiding. What outcome do you want right now? I don't know. That is an acceptable answer. I don't want to destroy his company. Then don't. I don't want to punish Madison. Then don't. I don't want to be financially trapped while I decide whether my marriage is over. That we can address. Through counsel, Olivia proposed a temporary written agreement. Neither spouse would make extraordinary transfers from jointly titled accounts without written notice. Nathan would replace the $180,000 advance to Larkspur with his separate funds while the investment was reviewed. Household expenses and prenatal costs would continue as usual. Both would preserve relevant records. Nathan's attorney negotiated the details. The agreement came through negotiation, not a dramatic courtroom ambush. Caldwell Home Systems kept operating, and neither lawyer pretended the marital dispute gave Olivia automatic control of Nathan's company. Two adults, through counsel, put structure around a marriage that had lost trust. Nathan moved into a furnished apartment 12 minutes away. He hated it. Not because it was small, it was larger than the first home he and Olivia had bought. He hated needing permission to enter the life he once assumed would always be waiting. Olivia did not use the separation to keep him from the pregnancy. She invited him to some appointments. Not all. When she wanted Claire with her, Nathan accepted it. At first, he accepted badly. Then more quietly. Madison contacted Olivia only once, through Marjorie. The message was short. I am sorry. Nathan told me you knew about the investment and that your marriage was already emotionally over. I should have questioned that. The kiss was wrong. I will cooperate with whatever documentation your attorneys need regarding the loan. Olivia read it twice. She did not answer immediately. For months in her imagination, Madison had been a glamorous enemy. The truth was less satisfying. Madison had made choices Olivia disliked. But Nathan had been the person who made vows to Olivia. Nathan had also told Madison a version of the marriage that made his behavior easier to justify. Olivia eventually replied with one sentence through counsel. Thank you for providing the records. Nothing more was necessary. The review showed that Madison's company could repay the loan over 18 months. Nathan chose to buy out the joint accounts position using his separate assets. The loan then became his individual investment risk. That solved the financial problem. It did not solve the marriage. 2 weeks before Olivia's due date, Nathan asked if they could meet at the house. He brought no flowers, no jewelry, no grand apology. He sat at the dining table where the cold pasta had once waited. I started therapy, he said. Olivia nodded. I realized something ugly. She waited. I kept telling myself I was protecting you from stress. But I was protecting myself from consequences. If I told you about Madison, you might ask me to stop seeing her. If I told you about the loan, you might say no. So I called secrecy protection because that sounded better than control. Olivia looked at him. That is the first explanation you've given me that doesn't ask me to excuse you. I'm not asking. What are you asking? To be a good father. And if there is any possibility someday, to become a man you could trust again. Olivia folded her hands. The first one is your responsibility. The second one is not my promise. Nathan nodded. I understand. She watched him carefully. No, you're beginning to. He accepted the correction. Their daughter arrived on a snowy March morning. They named her Grace. Nathan was at the hospital because Olivia wanted him there. He did not turn the birth into a redemption scene. He held Olivia's hand when she reached for him. He stepped into the hallway when she wanted quiet. When the nurse placed Grace in Olivia's arms, Nathan cried. Olivia cried too. Not for the marriage. For the child. For the strange fact that joy and grief could occupy the same room without canceling each other. Nathan held Grace later that afternoon. Hi, he whispered. I'm your dad. I have a lot to learn. Olivia heard him. She hoped he meant it. The months between Grace's birth and the divorce filing gave Olivia one final kind of certainty. Nathan did improve. He showed up when he said he would. He stopped asking mutual friends to persuade her. He gave Marjorie complete financial records without making every request a fight. In counseling, he eventually stopped using the kiss as the center of the story. The kiss mattered, Olivia told him during one session. But if that were the only thing, we might be having a different conversation. Nathan nodded. What mattered more was that you built a system where you were the only person who had the full information. The counselor asked Nathan why. He thought for a long time. Because if everyone had the full information, they could disagree with me. Olivia felt something settle inside her. There it was. Not romance. Not money. Not Madison. Control. Nathan looked at her. I can change that. I hope you do. For us. For you. For Grace. Maybe once I needed your change to save us. I don't anymore. That was the moment Olivia understood her decision was nearly made. She did not need Nathan to remain terrible in order to justify leaving. He could become better and still be someone she no longer wanted as a husband. That truth felt sad. It also felt clean. 6 months later, after the separation had continued, and after Olivia had time to decide without the pressure of pregnancy or crisis, she authorized Marjorie to file an Illinois petition for dissolution of marriage based on irreconcilable differences. The decision surprised some people. Nathan had been going to therapy. He had repaid the joint account. He had ended all personal contact with Madison and kept the remaining business investment under professional management. But improvement did not obligate Olivia to restore a marriage she no longer wanted. Marjorie helped them negotiate rather than turn every disagreement into war. They agreed on parenting time appropriate to Grace's age, a method for adjusting schedules as she grew, support based on their financial circumstances, and a division of property reached through counsel. Nathan continued to run Caldwell Home Systems, while the divorce settlement addressed their property through counsel rather than treating the company as a trophy. Olivia did not take it. Nathan did not become poor. Olivia did not become rich because a judge punished him. There was no courtroom spectacle and no financial annihilation. Olivia left with security, records, professional advice, and the right to build a life not organized around Nathan's decisions. A year after the divorce was final, Olivia reopened her design studio. She called it Bennett House. Her first major project was not a mansion. It was a small renovation for a widowed woman in her 60s who wanted to turn her late husband's office into a bright room for grandchildren. Olivia loved the work. She understood homes differently now. A beautiful house had never been proof that a marriage was healthy. A home, Olivia now understood, was a place where the people inside could tell the truth and still breathe. Nathan became a steady father. Not perfect. Steady. He arrived on time. He learned the difference between helping and taking over. He stopped using expensive gifts to compensate for missed emotional cues. When Olivia said Grace needed consistency more than another toy, he listened. Madison repaid the loan ahead of schedule after her company secured new financing. She and Nathan had no personal relationship. Olivia never needed them to become enemies for her story to make sense. One autumn afternoon, when Grace was almost 2, Olivia met Nathan at a park between their homes. Grace ran toward him on unsteady legs, shouting, "Daddy!" Nathan crouched and opened his arms. He looked older than he had 2 years earlier. Not ruined. Changed. After Grace ran toward the swings, Nathan stood beside Olivia. "I used to think losing the marriage would be the worst thing that could happen to me," he said. Olivia watched their daughter. "And now I think the worst thing would have been never understanding why I lost it." Olivia looked at him. There was a time when those words might have reopened a door. Now they simply felt true. "I'm glad you understand," she said. Nathan nodded. "So am I." They did not hug. They did not kiss. They walked toward the playground because their daughter was calling for both of them. Years earlier, Olivia had thought a happy ending meant keeping the family picture intact. She knew better now. A family could change shape without becoming a failure. Grace would grow up with 2 homes, 2 parents who showed up, and a mother who never taught her that love required surrendering the right to know the truth. The message that started everything remained in Olivia's old phone backup. "Don't wait up. I'm working late. Tell her I said hi." She no longer read those words as the moment her life fell apart. They were the moment she stopped waiting for someone else to tell her what her life was. Nathan's money had protected him from many inconveniences. It could not buy back effortless trust. Olivia's strength had not come from humiliating him, emptying his accounts, or winning a public spectacle. It came from staying calm enough to separate suspicion from evidence, pain from revenge, and forgiveness from obligation. She forgave him eventually, not by returning, by no longer carrying anger into every room he entered. Nathan accepted that forgiveness without mistaking it for reconciliation. And Grace inherited something more valuable than the image of a perfect marriage. She inherited parents who learned that love without honesty becomes control, that accountability does not require cruelty, and that sometimes the most humane ending is not putting a broken relationship back together. It is building two honest homes from the truth that finally came out.